An arrow comes from the right and kills this soldier, but then the camera looks in the direction the arrow came from and there is no archer to be seen. Bows don't have the kind of range that you can't see the one who fired it on a field. This opening cutscene makes Isshin Ashina look way less tough than he is at the end of the game. I fought spear guys just like he's fighting now, and they are pushovers compared to him.
Isshin Ashina staged a bloody coup and wrested control of the land.
You have DC Douglas do lines in your game, and I just expect Albert Wesker to show up and exposit about Ouroboros. Usually, there is some kind of story behind an ice scar. Here Al just marks a random kid with it because he senses main character within him.
What's the matter, Stray? Nothing left to lose?
Sekiro might have some childhood development issues if this is how he reacts to someone putting a sword in his face.
On that day, a young cub was taken from the battlefield. He trained relentlessly, and indeed, went on to become a master shinobi.
Something tells me that From Software hasn't quite honed their character building skills to the same degree as their lore writing chops.
You must never forget the shinobi code. As your father, my word is absolute. Your master's is a close second.
Well, a code that has only 2 rules that are pretty similar to each other would be hard to forget, and this is long after Sekiro became a master shinobi himself. I don't think he needs a reminder at this point. Starting with a player character in a hole with someone dropping a note down to him seems mighty familiar given the developer. As far as I'm aware, the game never reveals why Sekiro was lying at the bottom of this well, seemingly having given up on life even though his master was just a short walk away. Have to wait for the Vadi Vidya video theorizing the lore on that one, I guess. For someone who is seemingly ready to give up, Sekiro changes his mind based only on some words on a page from someone he doesn't know, and is never conflicted again for the rest of the game. This kind of ambiguous beginning may work when the player character is just a stand-in for the player, but Sekiro is an actual character.
That shinobi at the bottom of the well. We didn't shackle him, restrain him, nothing. That doesn't worry anybody?
Not at all. Not only is he unarmed, he has completely lost his will to live. Nothing but a coward. Unworthy of our concern.
These guards place a whole lot of faith in their ability to psychologically assess a prisoner with deadly abilities. You can tell this is From Software's first title to depend on platforming. There is ledge paint everywhere. As it turns out, Kuro probably could have escaped on his own since there is a huge hole in the wall of the room he was being kept in. There was an unused cage in the same room they could have tossed him in. But nah, they even left weapons in this place with him.
Kusabimaru, your sword.
Despite their portrayal in popular entertainment, shinobi never use katanas. Katana are large, impossible-to-hide swords that require a ton of maintenance. They also are not very good for shinking someone from behind, despite doing that very thing in this game.
Loyal Wolf, I see you are wounded. I have something that may help. It is a special gourd of medicinal waters. Use it to heal your wounds.
Kuro was given a healing gourd for his safety by a doctor. This is a kid that is immortal and cannot even be injured by anything other than a sword made for killing immortals. Why would anyone think he would need medicine?
Were you gravely injured? Afterward?
After what?
Do you not remember that night?
I do not.
Sekiro has no memory of the Hirata Estates event, which is something the narrator suggested was one of the reasons he felt like he had lost everything back in the well. How can you be emotionally devastated by an event you have no memory of?
There's a secret passage beneath the moat bridge that will take us out of the castle.
Placing the secret escape entrance in the moat, the first line of defense in a castle siege, strikes me as counterproductive. The room they put Kuro in locks from the inside. How did his captors even get in to check on him when they needed to? The secret escape entrance is clearly marked and lit up with torchlight.
Last we stood together was your uncle's funeral.
Lord Genichiro.
If the antagonist is so sure his captive is going to escape, and even knows the route he will use, why not just prevent the escape in the first place instead of standing dramatically in the way once they arrive? Cutting off an arm must activate the slow motion button. Using a prosthetic hand is something that takes time and adjustment to learn how to use. Even assuming this prosthetic arm is just as good as a human hand, it would still have a learning curve on how to use it. But Sekiro wakes up like this thing is attached to his nerve endings.
My left arm. What did you do to me?
That is what I call the shinobi prosthetic.
Sekiro would have been screwed had Genichiro cut off his right arm. Luckily, the laws of entertainment dictate that the left arm is the only one that may be severed.
Come to me if you find any shinobi tools.
Shinobi tools. I see. For this device.
For all the hype around the shinobi prosthetic, I rarely found it worth using. The amount of enemy types that are hard countered by any one gimmick is pretty low.
So the divine heir.
Someone's after him.
Someone is after him? You don't say. Was it the samurai taking Kuro by force that tipped you off?
What's wrong?
Dragonrot. The stagnation overflows and spreads. A disease that leads eventually to death.
The more you die in Sekiro, the more NPCs are infected with Dragonrot. Normally I rely on my Twitch chat to tell me how much I suck at a game. Sekiro goes the extra mile to point out that you suck so much you are giving it cancer. By the way, you should consider following me on twitch.tv/Dartigan. That's twitch.tv/Dartigan. I stream weekly.
Let's say you've used all of this power, and then you attempt to resurrect again. The resurrection still occurs, but it must draw on power from another source.
From those that have the Dragonrot?
How come the Dragonrot never spreads to anyone who is Sekiro's enemy? If Genichiro came down with it, it would make this ordeal a lot simpler. This bell that Sekiro has never seen before will somehow allow him to relive a moment from 3 years ago after he offers it to a statue of Buddha. Since this is Sekiro reliving a memory from 3 years ago, shouldn't he have his real arm instead of the prosthetic one? This is more like someone imagining what they would have done in the past had they had access to things then that they do now. You can find 3 different prosthetic tools in this level and attach them to your arm. Once again, this is something that happened in the past. How can Sekiro bring items from a memory back to reality? This whole reliving the past level dives so deep into nonsense that we reach the quark of stupidity.
Don't bother tending to my wounds, no point. It's too late.
Al faked his death as part of his long-game plan to take Kuro and the dragon's bloodline. However, his plan makes no sense. He trained Sekiro and assigned him to protect Kuro. Anyone with hidden ambitions would see the value of having Sekiro be part of the plan, but Sekiro knew nothing of it. Then Al even gives Sekiro the key to the secret temple where Lady Butterfly is holding Kuro, when it's assumed Lady Butterfly captured Kuro on Al's orders. He didn't need to fake his death, and he certainly didn't need to help Sekiro put an end to his plan that night. It's like he planned to fail. After doing everything in his power to ruin his own plans, Al stabs Sekiro through the back to kill him and then doesn't flee the estate with Kuro. What was the point of sending Sekiro here just so he could free Kuro then be killed by you? Which led to Kuro saving his life by giving Sekiro the power of resurrection. Kuro is currently lifting a wooden beam that has to weigh hundreds of pounds with one forearm. Any explanation for these narration ghosts that appear? Me. Fighting Headless and their damn terror mechanic is annoying. From software. So what you are saying is that you want them to be the most common mid-boss in the game and later fight 2 of them underwater? With the ogre, little people, and giant snake, this must be the Zack Snyder version of feudal Japan.
Sekiro. That is what I shall name you.
Roll credits. The Blazing Bull was a weapon the Ashina were planning to use against the Ministry forces. However, there was no reason to light the hay bales tied to it on fire while it was still in the storehouse. Emma is always back at the dilapidated temple with the sculptor, yet she manages to get to Ashina Castle and back whenever she likes. Her mission was to help Sekiro in any way. She might consider showing him the path she's using to get around.
Accept me to your immortal oath.
I fail to see how Genichiro obtaining the power of resurrection would allow him to defeat the Ministry's army.
Let's see. For as long as you are alive, the dragon's blood can never be mine.
You know you can't kill him, since Sekiro has the power of resurrection you want for yourself.
Behold the lightning of Tomoe.
Why didn't you just start the fight using the lightning of Tomei? Oh yeah, it's because From Software wanted a 3-part fight. Genichiro can already resurrect upon death, so why is he so fixated on the Divine Heir's power that does the exact same thing?
Who exactly do you serve?
Ishin Ashina. I am a doctor in the service of Lord Ishin.
Why were you ordered to help me?
Lord Ishin has no desire to use the power of the dragon's heritage.
Lord Ishin's character and actions make little sense. He starts out doing everything in his power to help Sekiro rescue Kuro and stop his grandson Genichiro. At the end of the game, he throws all that away to become the final boss on nothing more than his grandson's dying wish, which he must have already known.
I wish to sever the chains of stagnation bred by the dragon's heritage. Wolf, will you help me achieve this aim?
Father, I cannot break the Iron Code.
Why even allow the player to pick an answer here when it forces you to pick the one at once? It's the whole "but thou must" trope in action again after years of being a joke.
How many times have you died and come back to life for my sake? 2, 3 times? Or perhaps a number so large that it cannot be counted?
I don't like your tone, kid.
Wolf, come with me.
I could have told you where to find Lord Ishin while standing in the middle of the room, but I prefer to give you that information over here to the side.
The mortal blade.
With it, you could kill one who cannot die through normal means.
Where is this mortal blade?
I've heard it's held in Senpo Temple. However, They say the mortal blade cannot be drawn.
That seems like a dumb weapon to create. It's a sword meant for killing those who cannot die, yet the only people who can wield it are the people it's meant to kill. I get you're going for irony with that, but irony can still be stupid.
I hunted for any books that may contain clues about the aroma of the fountainhead.
All of this talk of the Fountainhead is making me think Kuro and the people of Ashina are really big Ayn Rand fans. Who is Jun Gatso-san? Inside the top floor of Ashina Castle is a revolving door. Going through it somehow bends space and time, because on the other side of it is a dilapidated temple where the sculptor resides, which is nowhere near Ashina Castle. The rest of the game follows an now typical item fetch quest every From Software game becomes. Grab several hard-to-acquire items and bring them back to the hub area to activate the endgame. In this case, it's a sword and several items to create incense that will allow Sekiro to enter the Divine Realm and get dragon tears to sever Kuro's immortality. I should really consider doing From Software lore videos. It would take 10 minutes for other channels to get that same information across. Would it kill Sekiro to have any sort of reaction? He just rang a bell inside Senpo Temple and opened his eyes to find himself in a building in the sky. And he reacts like this is about what he expected.
The monkey in the purple kimono is the seeing. The monkey in the orange kimono is the speaking monkey. The monkey in the green kimono is the hearing monkey.
So speak no evil, hear no evil, see no evil. Yeah, that's a bit on the nose. I probably wouldn't trust the Mortal Blade's ability to kill immortals if it failed to kill Sekiro when he drew it. There is no reason for Sekiro not to use the Mortal Blade as his main sword, but he only ever uses it for the finishing blow on the infested to give them a true death. He would save himself a few fights later on if he stuck enemies with this from the get-go. I'm not going to give this game grief for being difficult. You go into this game expecting that, but these Princess Mononoke leper knockoffs and their rifles in the Sunken Valley can kiss my ass. I should have mentioned this the first time the giant snake showed up, but this does not seem like the type of climate snakes would thrive in. I've never experienced a game where the enemy will fart in my face and then immediately dig into its ass to throw feces at me. I guess it's kind of earned since I do the same thing weekly to games. Props to the devs though for the excellent fake out at the end of the first fight, only to have it revive and attack you again. Hey, you want to use that sword that can kill immortal beings by any chance, Sekiro? Seems like a good time. Sekiro finds a person's decayed hand inside the ape and thinks to himself, nice, I can stick this on my arm and whistle. At this point, you have to assume From Software keeps creating maps where the ground poisons you and is full of the most irritating enemies in the game just because people keep complaining about it. Repeated, boss fights. They do make you fight two apes at the same time, however. But considering From Software's history with boss battles, it was kind of disappointing just how many mid-bosses were repeats. And then you had this ape fight twice and then later the corrupted monk.
Now, my lord, I must ask that you accompany me. This old bird has but one desire, to protect the divine heir from those that might take his esteemed blood.
After 3 years of doing, well, nothing, Al finally springs his master plan of basically asking Kuro to give him the power of resurrection. What was he even waiting around for during that time? He could have done that 3 years ago.
As your father, I order you to forsake your master. From this moment, he is your master no more.
Maybe you could have ordered Sekiro to do that 3 years ago before he developed a bond with Kuro instead of stabbing him through the back.
Why can't you understand your father's will? Have you forgotten the Shinobi Code?
Can Sekiro choosing Kuro over you really upset you this much? You did kill him 3 years ago after all. Al brought with him the fruit of the Everblossom, the last item needed to make the incense. There was really no reason for him to have it or even bring it here, but things just have a habit of working out like that sometimes.
How is the wound?
I'm fine. I just made a small cut on my chest.
Why your chest? Your palm would have been preferable since you have to hold the blood there as you pour it into the incense. Instead of building a stairway, they built a yarn golem. Just because you added more health bars doesn't mean I'm not repeating the boss fight I already beat. I'm taking a sin off for the design of the Divine Dragon, because even though this is the easiest boss fight in the game, damn if it doesn't look cool. If you want the true ending, you have to go through what feels like the IKEA instructions of game endings, requiring you to collect snake hearts, eat this girl's rice repeatedly, then feeding her the snake heart so she can take the dragon back to where it came from, and you do all this without any hints on how to do it. Since the sculptor has disappeared and left his tools behind, why do the arm upgrades cost money? Who is Sekiro paying exactly?
This key, my lord has escaped the castle through the secret passage?
Yes, Master Wolf.
Considering what happened the last time he tried to escape through that passage, I think he should have chosen a different route. It all ends where it began, cliché.
Behold, the second mortal blade.
Well, that just came out of nowhere then. There's a second sword made for killing immortals. Don't you need Kuro alive to grant you true immortality? By stabbing him, you just sort of screwed yourself. Ashina is already under attack by the Ministry and seems to be losing. At this point, anything you do seems a bit too late to have an effect. Since Genichiro is using a mortal blade to fight Sekiro, shouldn't a death be permanent? A mortal blade can kill an immortal, but Sekiro can still revive.
Which means Sekiro. I must destroy you.
Lord Ishin had previously done everything in his power to thwart his grandson's plans. After he died to his illness and was returned to life by Genichiro with a mortal blade, he does the exact opposite and attempts to kill Sekiro in order to fulfill Genichiro's dying wish.
Let us depart to the west.
No matter which ending you get, it's just sequel baiting.